Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be going over today the different gold orders in each campaign and which ones I recommend you guys go ahead and pick up. Because I see a lot of people all the time, like they get these gold orders for vehicles, and it's kind of one of the more common ones that you get. I feel like gold order for weapons, it's normally pretty easy to pick which ones you want. You just, pick the Gewehr Kurz or whatever it is. But vehicles are a little bit more weird because they're more limited, right? Like some vehicles can be used in some squads, some vehicles can't. And so a lot of people ask about these vehicles and which ones they should get. So we're going to be going through all of the campaigns today. I'm going to be giving you guys my recommendations on which ones to pick up. So starting here with Normandy Allies, guys, I'm going to be going with the M4A2 Sherman bomb as the number one. The Sherman bomb is fantastic because you can get it at just level 2. You can use it at level 2. It's part of the first infantry or first tank squad that you unlock. So you basically skip the Scott and the Stuart, and you get this nice little tank that's going to help you grind up. And it's not the best tank in the game by any stretch of the imagination, but it handles a lot of the threats that you run into in Normandy just fine. It does good damage. It can fight things. If you can flank someone out, you're going to do just fine. And this is a great vehicle that will just carry you through a lot of the early game. You can just bring it and you're fine, right? It's just a great tank, right? It's a great overall tank. And while you'll eventually turn it in for a jumbo or for a 76 Sherman, it still does a great job for you for those early levels. The other one, guys, is the P51D. P51D is really, really amazing because it's a great fighter on its own, right? But the other thing that's awesome about it is that this is part of the second fighter squad, which you unlock at level 12. So you can actually pick this thing up around level 12 and then just skip an insane amount of the grind, because the P51D is actually unlocked very late in this campaign at level 34. And so you're skipping 22 levels worth of grind and late level grind at that for a very powerful plane. So you're going to be getting, obviously, the 50 cals, the very capable fighter that this plane is. But on top of that, you're going to get the great, kind of ground-based armament with 500-pound bombs, just a pair of them. So you can fly around, take out those BF-110s causing havoc, and then do some damage on the ground by yourself. And all you got to do is get to level 12, which is honestly very easy to do and very early in the campaign. So P51D, very, very strong pickup if you're looking for a more air-based campaign. For the Axis, guys, I'm going to recommend probably just the BF-110. Number one, it looks pretty freaking sick, I think. Looks cool. It's got this cool thing on it. It's a cool plane, but the biggest thing here, guys, is that, what are you going to get? You're going to get the Puma, right? Like, I have the Puma unlocked here, the gold order Puma. Like, you're really going to spend your gold order on a vehicle of a 1? I mean, you can, and you can zoom around, but I wouldn't recommend it. And the rest of these are just kind of like, you can't use these until you unlock the squad, and those squads are pretty late in the campaign. And at that point, are you really going to, what's the value of it, right? I feel like it's best to spend your gold orders on things that are helping you skip the grind. And of course, if you just think this Panzer IV-H looks sweet and you want to pick it up because it looks sweet, hey, all the power to you. This does look really, really cool. But you're not skipping any of the grind, and, I think that's probably the best bang for your buck. But if I had to pick a tank, I'd say this Panzer IV-H. If I had to pick a plane, the BF-110. Let's move on to Moscow. Moscow has the number one investment for your gold order, in my opinion, at the T50. T50 is absolutely incredible. It is a gold order that skips 28 levels worth of grind, because the T50 is unlocked, well, 27, I suppose, because you have to be level 2. But T50 is unlocked at level 29. It is one of the best tanks in the entire campaign, second to only the T34. It will take on every German tank in the entire campaign. It will do it with ease. It can pin everything. It can fight everything. It is absolutely amazing. It's a great tank to have in your lineup, and you get to skip so much of the grind just by picking this up. So I'd highly, highly, highly recommend this thing. It's even got 2 machine guns, so its anti-infantry capabilities are also absolutely crazy. So T50, big, big, big value for your gold order. Other than that, not a whole lot, guys. I mean, the IL-2 is a decent one to pick up. It's got a pretty sweet camouflage. I think this thing looks awesome, to be completely honest with you guys. So IL-2, pretty solid pickup once you're level like 6 or something like that. And let me make sure I don't have any other hiding. No, it doesn't look like I have anything hiding anywhere. So, yeah, that is it, guys, for Moscow Allies. Let's move on to Moscow Axis. For the Moscow Axis, I'm going to recommend the Panzer 3J. Panzer 3J for the tanks. I actually have it, so it's buried somewhere in here. There's so many tank squads. There it is, Panzer 3J. It's just a solid tank, right? You can use it at the beginning of the campaign. It gets you something that can fight stuff. No, this thing is not going to really be able to take on a lot of the heavier Soviet tanks that are in the game. I don't know if it can pin a T-50. It probably can in the cheeks. But you know, it's a good tank. It's well armored. It can take on a lot of the tanks in the game with some angling. It can fight the 45 millimeters. So it's a solid pickup overall. And while it's not like the most value, it's not like a T-50. It's still a solid pickup. Honorable mention to the Panzer IV-E as well. Once you've unlocked this vehicle, the gold order for it is also pretty strong and a good pickup as well. And then finally, for a plane, Bf-110C7 is solid. This is part of the first campaign, or first bomber squadron. So you're basically trading in a Stuka for a Bf-110 with a 250 kg bomb. So you're losing some bombs, getting some cannons. You know, cannons can do some work against some of the lightly armored vehicles, and it can do very well in the air as well. All right, guys, let's move on to Berlin. We'll start off with the Allies. Honestly, guys, any of these are pretty good to pick up. If you want the Su-85 because you want to use a tank destroyer for some reason, then you can go ahead and pick this up. It's part of the first squad. You can use the T-34-85 and pick that up, and it's part of the first squad, which is also solid. And you can honestly pick up either of these Yak-3s. They're identical. They're both the same. They're used early on. They're pretty solid, honestly. Like, whichever one you think looks cooler. I personally like this one. I think this one looks pretty damn sick. But honestly, man, this one looks pretty sweet too. You know, I like it. They look sleek. You know, honestly, I think Yaks look awesome, dude. I think the Yak-3 is such a sleek plane, you know? I like it a lot. The only one I don't recommend you guys pick up is the Yak-9T, just because you're going to unlock this later on in the campaign. And, you know, if you're already late in the campaign, then, you know, you can pick up the Yak-9T, and that's perfectly fine. But early on, I would recommend one of these 5 as opposed to, or 4 as opposed to the Yak-9T. Moving on to the Axis variants, guys. I'm going to go with the Panther as your #1 pick. If you want to go with the Panzer 470, you can, but the Panther is such an unbelievable pickup. So many people in Berlin complain about the Panzer IV just like getting nuked by the T-34 and how you can't fight it. And you're right, you can't. It's a tough fight. So just skip the Panzer IV. Just skip it. Don't use it. Get the Panther G and you skip the Panzer IV and you just go right to the Panther. And suddenly the tables have turned. You're on the upper hand, or you have the upper hand, and you can just absolutely shred those T-34s that would otherwise be killing you. The Panther is amazing. You can use this thing at level, you know, 40 in this campaign, or 37, whatever the hell we're at. And you're fine. I mean, it's a Panther, for Christ's sake. It's one of the best tanks of the war. It's absolutely amazing. Having a gold order fully upgraded variant of it is absolutely great. So, and honestly, it looks pretty cool, right? I kind of like the camouflage. It's got the 432 on it. It's got these little grenades sticking on the side. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. Panther, very good pickup. If you want to go with the Panzer 470, you can, but I wouldn't recommend it. Why would you do this when you can just have a Panther? It's the same gun. Just use the Panther. And then finally, guys, FW190. Looks pretty sweet. You unlock it pretty early, if I recall correctly. Nice pickup. I think it looks cool. I like this little underbarrel, or under airframe, whatever, underside paint that it's got. Pretty cool. Moving on to our faster campaigns. Actually, no, I guess this one has a lot. Tunisia first. Tunisia, guys, for the Allies. There's really not any good pickups for the Allies. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The Crusader is decent, but honestly, at the end of the day, like the Lee is just better, or the Grant, excuse me. The Grant is just better. So like, you don't really need to use the Crusader. I would recommend just using the Grant. And you can't use the Grant until you unlock the squad, so getting this early isn't going to help you. So, I don't know, right? Like, I mean, yeah, the Crusader lets you skip some of the grind, but the Crusader is not really better than the Grant. It's just faster, but more lightly armored, and honestly, that's not really good in Enlisted. So, I would recommend picking up the Crusader. Spitfire is always cool. And the Hurricane is a great plane to pick up early on just to get yourself a fully upgraded plane that can dogfight. Maybe take out some of those Stukas that might be plaguing your team if that is what you might want to do. But otherwise, not too good of a pickup. I wouldn't recommend the 813. It's just going to get outclassed. It does have a really cool camo, though. So, you know, if you're into that, it's pretty neat. And then there is the Daimler as well. You can get a gold order Daimler. But that's really just meme value, in my opinion. If you want to go with that. But Axis have a little bit better pickups. You can pick up the Panzer IIIJ pretty early on. You can get this whenever you get to level, what, like 17 or something like that? Yeah, 18. So once you pick up the Semovente here, you can trade this out for a Panzer IIIJ, which is going to skip you quite a lot of levels and give you a much better tank overall that's going to be able to fight, not necessarily fight more effectively, but is going to be, you know, like a real tank as opposed to a tank destroyer. So Panzer IIIJ is a great pickup once you're level 18. And then the rest of these, not really too worth it. I mean, the M1340, maybe to just get some extra speed on this thing because it is slow as hell. Maybe helps you get up to that Semovente a little bit faster. But overall, not too good of a pickup in my book. Moving on to Stalingrad. These are going to be a lot faster here, guys, because there's very little of them. For the Allies, either one of these are good. I would recommend the KV-1 just because the KV-1 is... it's better. I mean, it's the best tank of the campaign. Arguably, it's one of the best tanks in the entire game. So, very, very good tank. Very, very powerful tank. I don't know, is the T-34 STZ locked? Locked, isn't it? Where the hell is it at? There it is. So it is locked. It's paywalled. So I think if you pick it up as a free-to-play player, you are allowed to use it. What? They're part of the same one, I think. They're part of the KV-1. Yeah. So I think if you pick this up as a free-to-play player, then you will be able to use it. So, like, you could kind of circumvent that. Don't quote me on that. I don't know that 100%. I would recommend searching some information up on that and asking around. But I would assume it does because there's a lot of ways to kind of circumvent that. So, there you go. Guys, T-34 honestly looks really cool, but so does the KV-1. I'd recommend the KV-1. I think the KV-1 is just a better tank. So, there you go. Axis only have one option, so I would recommend getting the Panzer IV F2. I don't really think it's, like, worth picking this up, but you can if you want to. Moving on to the Pacific, where there are also very limited options. For the Allies, you have the FP3. Oh, actually, for Stalingrad, real quick, guys, if they ever add the Stug gold order, which I kind of have a feeling they're going to add a Stug gold order, a Stug F gold order for the Axis, I'd recommend picking that up because it's going to be for the Panzer IV squad. It's this early squad. Because there's not Tanker 3s yet. So if they add the Stug is going to be a good choice. So if you're watching this in the future and the Stug is a gold order option, pick that up because that's pretty solid. All right, moving back to the Pacific. FP3, man, whatever, man. Like, sure, I guess. Like, yeah, you can get it, but, like, planes are really bad in the Pacific, in my honest opinion. And there's not really anything. I think no, this is an event squad. Yeah, there's really not anything. If they ever add, like, the M3 Stuart with the flamethrower, because I don't think that, yeah, this is a difference, or this is part of the earlier squads. So, like, if you have this Stuart, you can definitely pick up the flamethrower Stuart, and that would be decent if they ever add those in the future. But the FP3, honestly, man, like, you don't need it. It's just not good, right? Right? Like, you don't get it till here. It kind of looks cool. Right? Like, I think it looks pretty neat, but you just don't need these. Like, planes in the Pacific aren't really that good, and you definitely don't need fighters. Pick it up if you think this plane looks cool, and if you want to pick it up for the sake of just, like, being cool, go for it. But in terms of value, pretty low. And then you have the Zero, the same thing as the FP3. Not really that value, because you can't use it until you unlock the Zero squad, in which case you're going to have the Zero anyway. But it's cool. Right? It's even lower value in the Pacific because your vehicles already come one level from maxed out. So you're really just getting this for the camouflage, which, albeit, is a cool camouflage, you know? But that's it, guys. If they ever add any of these later unlocks, like the Kami or something like that, probably a decent pickup. But these things are still made of paper, so probably still not very worth it. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Do you guys think, is there any gold orders that I missed that you guys think are pretty valuable pickups? What have you guys spent your gold orders for vehicles on? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments down below. And remember, as always, to like, comment, and subscribe. It does help me out. And I appreciate it. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy.